Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Absolutely huge weekend for Tennessee on the recruiting trail. First, on Saturday, they add four-star safety Shady Hayward. And then on Sunday, they flipped Deson Brain from Oregon to Tennessee, climbing inside the top 10. They went in the weekend 12th in the On3 industry rankings. After the weekend, they are sitting at 7th. If you want to go over to 247 Sports, they currently have Tennessee in the top 5, and that's what you're fighting for. That's what you're scratching and clawing for. And I know some of you guys in the comments have been saying, Boogie, there's no way possible that Tennessee is going to get into the top 5. Now, we'll see. We'll see how all things close out, how they finish out this class of 2025. And also, you got to look at the teams around them. How many guys are they in on? But I think Tennessee is in a very good spot for this class of 2025. Now, I was listening to Josh Pate. A lot of you guys sent me this video, absolute fire video. I encourage you to go listen to the whole thing. We're going to listen to the first 40 seconds from Josh Pate talking about Tennessee and to keep your eye on the Vols because the Vols are on their way back. Let's take a listen.
Tennessee's on fire right now, and I would suggest you pay attention to Tennessee because more commits are coming. They have the number 5 class in the country right now. And I know that you pay a lot of attention to Ohio State. You pay a lot of attention to Alabama. You pay a lot of attention to Georgia. You pay a lot of attention to Texas. You need to be paying attention to Tennessee. Tennessee is not viewed as an elite recruiting outfit right now. Tennessee is not viewed as an elite program because they're not. They're neither of those things. They have not been. They haven't been an elite program for a long time. They haven't been an elite recruiter for a long time. They can be both.
He goes on in this video. He says Tennessee can be both. He talks about, the job that Josh Heupel's done in just 3 years and how he's rebuilt this roster, the depth that Tennessee has added back to this football team. But he also talks about how calculated Josh Heupel is with recruiting. We've said the phrase a lot here. He's playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. Josh Pate kind of made that same comment. But he also went on to praise his coaching staff for their evaluations and how they're getting in on kids early before everybody else. And we heard that on Saturday from Shady Hayward. By the way, if you watched the live stream, the live commitment, and then left after the decision, sometimes you better stick around on the Talkin VAWLS Network because Shady Hayward jumped on with us and talked about why he chose Tennessee. And one of the big reasons, he said, Tennessee was in on me before the rankings. They were in on me before the 4 stars showed up. So because Tennessee nailed their evaluations and they jumped in on Shady Hayward early, that meant something to him. And that ultimately led to him committing to Tennessee. And we're seeing that across the board with this coaching staff. They're nailing their evaluations. He also talked about NIL. And now Tennessee has a legitimate plan in place for NIL. Look, you got to look across the board. These kids are going to get money. Everybody is throwing money at these top prospects, but there's more layers to how you use that money in NIL. Josh Pate did a great job talking about that, talking about what Tennessee does with that and how they have a plan in place, and that is letting them have success in NIL. But he also said more commits are coming. So who's next for Tennessee? We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. I want you guys to do all the YouTube stuff. You already know. Smash the thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. Click the bell for notifications. All that good stuff. We're going live on Tuesday at 6:30 like we do every single Tuesday playing EA Sports College Football. Also going to be live Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time with Eric Kane of VolQuest.com. And Locked On Vols. Fall camp kicks off Wednesday. He's going to be here to talk about that. But I got to show you guys this brand new shirt we just rolled out. If you're talking Vols, you're talking Vols for life. Bonfire.com/store/talking Vols. You can pick up this brand new shirt that we just dropped. Other styles and designs there. Whatever you want, get in where you fit in. Bonfire.com/store/talking Vols. Now let's get back into it. Let's talk about who's next for Tennessee. And I want to talk about a guy that we've really not maybe even talked about at all, and that's Daren Smith. He's a 3-star defensive lineman, 6'2", 260 pounds out of Maryland. He's going to announce his decision. He went to Twitter. Going to announce his decision tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So I know I said we're going to be playing EA Sports College Football. Wink, wink. There is probably going to be a video in the bank ready to drop at 6:30. So I may be late going live because all things indicate Daren Smith is trending to the good guys. And I know, what some of you will say. We've been on a roll, man. We were landing these top 100 kids in the on 300, climbing the rankings. You see a 3-star, and then here come the comments, 3-star you. But did you listen Did you listen to the first 3 to 4 minutes of the video when Josh Pate's talking about how Tennessee nails their evaluations? You got to trust the process here with Daren Smith. And if there's a guy I trust on this coaching staff more than anybody with evaluations and player development, that is one Rodney Garner. You can also go look at the offer list. There's no scouting report out there, but the offer list never lies. He's got offers from more than 20 schools: Ohio State, Maryland, LSU, Miami, Michigan, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, South Carolina. I think that's a pretty good offer list for the three-star defensive lineman out of Maryland. Tennessee and Ohio State are really the teams that he's talked about the most, but he's also mentioned Maryland just a little bit, the home state of Maryland. But he visited Knoxville back in April and then again in May, came in town for an unofficial visit this weekend. Again, all the momentum for Tennessee this weekend. George being in town, Ethan Utley being in town, David Sanders, Shady Hayward commits, Deson Brame commits. Just a big weekend for Tennessee. Daren Smith was here for a part of that. He goes back home, and then he immediately takes to Twitter, my mind is made up. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to pull the trigger. Not flashy at all. Not flashy, no top 3, no top 5, top 2. He says, I'm dropping my commitment July 30th at 6:30 p.m. You can see Ethan Utley in the comments section down there with those emojis. So Daren Smith coming off the board tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. Again, we'll probably have a video in the bank, and then we'll go live shortly after the commitment for EA Sports College Football. By the way, a lot of y'all talking trash. A lot of y'all talking trash about EA Sports College Football. Come show up Tuesday night, and you can find a way to jump online and play head-to-head, me versus you, and we will see what happens. So who's next? After that commitment, Juan Gaston is the next scheduled guy to come off the board. You can see there on the screen, 4-star interior offensive lineman, 6'7", 360 pounds, ranked inside the top 200. And you look at a guy, again, out of the state of Georgia, right? It comes down to Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, and Oregon. A lot of people think they're going to keep Juan Gaston home, keep the in-state kids home. But let's look at this run that Tennessee has been on. Travis Smith, 4-star wide receiver. Tennessee went into the state of Georgia and pulled him out. And Georgia fans can say whatever they want. They can spin whatever kind of narrative they want. Georgia wanted Travis Smith, and Tennessee won that big boy recruiting battle. The following weekend, Christian Gass, 4-star linebacker, same deal. Tennessee went into the state of Georgia, and they took an elite linebacker and brought him back home to Rocky Top. This past weekend, Shady Hayward, 4-star safety, 100-ranked player in the country. Tennessee went into the state of Georgia, and they pulled Shady Hayward back to Rocky Top. So Juan Gaston, the next one to come off the board. If you look at the national media, you look at the perspective, everybody says it's Georgia, but VolQuest has kind of continued to say Tennessee is the biggest threat to pull Juan Gaston out of the state of Georgia. Now, we all know, we've talked about it many times on this channel, how the media says he plays his cards close to the vest. He doesn't let you know much, doesn't talk much, so much so that after his visits, he kind of dodged even Georgia reporters, and that kind of gave you a little bit of hope. Matt Ray over at VolQuest said most people we talk to still think it's Georgia in the end, but it's interesting that he dodged some of those reporters. He's not a big talker, but still just a piece of info to pass along. Tennessee has the best shot of pulling him away from Georgia in the end, in my opinion. It's not going to be easy to do, though, but that's one to watch. Again, August the 2nd, 187th best player in the country. Something else worth noting, I mentioned Travis Smith, 4-star wide receiver, just so happens to be teammates with Juan Gaston. Now, when he made his decision, when he came off the board back on July the 13th, his teammate Juan Gaston was on hand with him. And oh, by the way, this started floating around Twitter yesterday. Uncommitted 4-star Juan Gaston was repping Tennessee gear at Travis Smith's commitment a few weeks ago. Now, this kind of slid under the radar. I had not seen this until just this weekend. It's kind of floating around Twitter. Juan Gaston repping that power T. Now, does that mean anything? Can you read into that, or is that just Juan Gaston supporting his teammate? But again, a guy that's quiet, a guy that doesn't talk a lot. It's Georgia. It's Tennessee. We're going to be covering that one live right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network, so make sure you are dialed in for that one. Following that, we've got the number one player in the class of 26, Faison Brandon, coming off the board on August the 3rd, Josh Petty on August the 12th. We know the big one. The big one is David Sanders. He visited Nebraska, also visited Tennessee over the weekend. Lot of good reports coming out for the Vols on that one. probably make a video tomorrow morning and go a little bit more in depth on David Sanders, on his visit, and why I have even more excitement about the big 5-star offensive tackle. And you guys know I've been riding with Austin Price. I've been riding with VolQuest. I've been putting Tennessee out front throughout the course of this thing, no matter when they were talking about Clemson or Georgia or Ohio State or now Nebraska. I've been riding with AP. I've been riding with Matt Ray, and I've been riding with the University of Tennessee. I'm going to go more in depth with that one tomorrow. Also, Onus Conan Banny scheduled to come off the board soon. Jaden Perlotti didn't show up on Rocky Top this weekend. He visited USC, so that's an interesting one to kind of take note of and say Tennessee may have missed on that one. But a lot to unpack from this one. We got a commitment coming up tomorrow from 3-star defensive lineman Daren Smith. Juan Gaston coming off the board on August the 2nd. Tennessee has an opportunity to keep climbing into that top 5 according to the On3 industry rankings. But you guys do me a favor, smash that thumbs up on the way out the door. I would greatly appreciate it. Go jump into the comment section. Let's talk about it. Even if you just put GBO, it helps the channel. We would appreciate it. But that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name's Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.